Without a doubt, there's been a bigger emphasis on free-to-play titles, free games over the course of the last 5 to 6 years than in any other previous time period, and in this video, I want to go over 10 of the best free-to-play titles that you can check out on the PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 5. Obviously, there's a ton more outside of these, but there's a lot of games to go over. Here's 10, so let's get right into it, and let's start things off with Final Fantasy XIV Online. Now, this is one that's gone through a bit of controversy, I guess. It's at the end of the day probably pretty good for the game. The Final Fantasy XIV Online Endwalker expansion just came out. Obviously that you have to pay for. It goes for $40, and the game became so popular that Square Enix for a temporary period of time actually had to shut down new people accessing the game just because of server congestion. But Final Fantasy XIV Online remains one of the best MMOs on the market. People will make the argument it is the best MMO in the market, and honestly, that's probably the case. When you look at every other MMO it's competing against, with FF14 you can play the entirety of A Realm Reborn and Heaven's Ward, all that content for free. That should give you a good idea on whether or not you're gonna like the game, and spoiler alert, you're probably gonna like the game. And don't take FF14 out for having a great story as well. Final Fantasy has always been a very narrative-driven experience, and FF14 is no different. Hey, you can say that this is one of the stronger narratives out of all of the Final Fantasy titles, and it's definitely worth playing. Obviously, as an MMO, the first 15 to 20 hours might sound like a little bit of a slog to a lot of people, but after that, it becomes an incredibly rewarding experience. Great music, the visuals are excellent. PS5, it runs really well on there as well. Definitely one to check out. Moving on from that, Warframe. Warframe is another great title and follows a kind of a similar story to Final Fantasy XIV. Warframe came out back in, I want to say 2013, and initially when it came out, and I played quite a bit of it on launch day on PC, it wasn't a game that everybody absolutely loved, but Digital Extremes stayed committed to it. It constantly evolved, and now what you get out of Warframe is an incredibly deep and engrossing game with a ton of content. Yes, is it a bit grindy at times? Absolutely. But the game is still very enjoyable, especially from a gameplay standpoint. Really enjoyed it from that end, and if you got a couple friends to play it with, even better as far as that's concerned. You can play it solo, it's a slick game, and they actually do the free-to-play model pretty well. If you're looking to get into an action-oriented free-to-play shooter, looter, action title, this is one that'll be right up your alley. Again, it's been also a title that gets consistently upgraded and updated, and a recent update, a massive update at that, just dropped, so now wouldn't be a bad time to check it out. Next up, another multiplayer title, we have Apex Legends. I know the Battle Royale genre isn't for everyone, but it seemed like a lot of people that weren't super into Fortnite and some of the other Battle Royale titles got really into Apex Legends. Maybe that's because Respawn knows how to make a quality game. They do really good stuff, although, some of the stuff going on with Titanfall isn't ideal right now. However, Apex Legends still persists as a very, very enjoyable Battle Royale multiplayer title. I've been vocal about it in the past. Battle Royale titles aren't really my cup of tea these days. I kind of moved on from it, but when Apex Legends initially dropped, I put a lot of time into it, and sure, it doesn't have the popularity it did back then, but, that's generally the case with all video games. Very hard to maintain a peak for a lengthy period of time, but Apex Legends consistently getting updated as well. Definitely a quality Battle Royale to check out. Next up, if you're looking for a colorful Monster Hunter style experience, Dauntless would be a great game to check out. Another one that recently just got upgraded for PlayStation 5 as well, a free-to-play online action RPG coming from Phoenix Labs. It's unfortunate, the story of this game, because this game was in development for quite a while. It had been announced for quite a while, and then Capcom swooped in and announced Monster Hunter World as well. That took a little bit of the shine away from Dauntless. However, Dauntless came out and it still maintains to be a very enjoyable cooperative online action RPG that you can have a lot of fun with. Regular updates as well. I have to say, Phoenix Labs is a great studio in terms of linking up with the player base and, giving them updates on what's coming out in the game. They do a great job at that. You've got dynamic events in the game as well, and quite a good action-oriented monster-slaying RPG. Another one you can jump in with a couple friends and have a good time with. Alright, moving on from that, first-person shooters, everybody loves them. Halo Infinite's been getting a lot of buzz, not available on PlayStation, of course, but Splitgate offers quite a bit of fun as well. A free-to-play, fast-paced multiplayer shooter that features player-controlled portals. This sci-fi shooter takes the FPS genre to a new dimension with its portal mechanics delivering high-flying, multi-dimensional combat. I've often heard it be compared to Portal meets Halo. That's a pretty interesting combination of games, but it actually works out pretty well as a first-person first-person shooter with Splitgate. Relatively fast-paced gameplay here as well, and if you want a competitive first-person shooter to get into, Splitgate's definitely not a bad one, especially with the free-to-play model working relatively well. Another one that is an enjoyable game to play with a couple friends, or if you just want a quality FPS, Splitgate as more of an arcade first-person shooter, I think is a pretty good look. Next up, we have Mobile Suit Gundam Battle Operation 2, obviously a free-to-play Gundam game here. I'm all about my high-quality mech titles. Mobile Suit Gundam Battle Operation 2 isn't perfect in all regards, but I have been a big Gundam fan for a long time, and if you're a fan of mecha action titles, this is something to check out. A 6v6 team online multiplayer title. This one's available on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. You can check that out right now if you're a fan of Gundam or you're a fan of mecha action titles. One that's probably worthwhile. Next up, one of the more iconic games of the entire PlayStation 4 generation, that's Rocket League. Rocket League came out as a 1999 buy-to-play title, or if you're a PlayStation Plus subscriber, the month it came out, you did get it for free back then, but now it's a free-to-play game for everyone. Rocket League has sustained its popularity and continues to be one of the more popular multiplayer titles on the market. You've got 1v1, 2v2, 3v3, you've got tournaments, you've got just awesome multiplayer fun. You don't have to play the game competitively. I have some friends that are super into Rocket League from a competitive standpoint, but if you just want to play the game casually, have some fun with friends, Rocket League can offer you that as well. It's a game that if you have a couple friends over, pass the controller around, you can have a great time with Rocket League, and it offers a level of arcade-style fun that very few games do, especially from the free-to-play standpoint. It's one that is engaging to just about anyone. Like, anyone that plays Rocket League, I feel like even if they're a casual gamer, they don't play a lot of video games, it's fast cars, it's got that soccer style of play, you've got goals, you've got crazy tricks being done, crazy saves. It's a lot of fun, even to those that aren't super into video games, and if you want to get into the technical nuances, you want to get really good at rotating and everything like that, learning all of the minutia of the game that'll, get you to a high rank. There's a lot of investment that could be had in Rocket League as well, and as a free-to-play title, it's one of the best on the market. Next up, a free-to-play game that you can sink an absurd amount of time into, probably over 1,000 hours. Many have spent well over 1,000 hours in the game. Path of Exile. You're in exile in the game, struggling to survive as you fight to earn power that'll allow you to exact your revenge against those who wronged you. Created by hardcore gamers, Path of Exile is an online action RPG set in a dark fantasy world. Obviously, it's going to see comparisons to a lot of other games, your other dungeon crawling action RPGs. This one, it obviously gets a bit grindy at times, but at the same time, it's another game that does the free-to-play model rather well, and Grinding Your Games has done a phenomenal job constantly updating the game. I mean, there's significant updates coming out for this game, and given that it came out back in like 2013, I want to say like mid-2013, the fact it's still being consistently updated, hey, that's kudos to them, and it works relatively well on the PlayStation 4, and you can play it on the PlayStation 5 as well. A lot of content to this game as well, and another one that if you want to jump in with a couple of friends, you can have a great time with that as well. Path of Exile, one that you probably want to clean out the calendar. Don't be expecting to play a lot of games if you're truly looking to invest your time into Path of Exile. It's going to be one that you'll be busy with for quite a while. Next up, we have Enlisted, which is available on the PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4, a squad-based first-person MMO shooter as it's described, covering key battles from World War II. The game carefully recreates weapons, military vehicles, and the atmosphere of that era while demonstrating really massive clashes of numerous soldiers, tanks, and aircraft with artillery and naval support. You've got a variety of features, epic battles that look as massive as the historical battles, high input of each player in the team victory. Despite the massiveness of the battles, the result is significantly defined by the performance of each player. 10 plus distinctive squad classes like Assault, Sniper, Heavy Gun, Mortar, Flamethrower, Anti-Tank, Engineer, Radio Specialist, Tank Crews, Aircraft Pilots, and others, hundreds of weapons, and a lot of customizability available both on the PS4 and the PS5. This is one that's been getting a little bit of buzz more and more since its release in early 2021 on the PlayStation 5. And lastly, we have another RPG that's been gaining a lot of buzz over the last year or so, and that is Genshin Impact. I'm shocked at how many people really got hooked by Genshin Impact. I remember leading up to the release of this game, I thought it was going to get a healthy level of popularity, but man, it has overachieved my expectations greatly with how popular popular it is. You've got an open world, climb any mountain, swim across any river, and glide over the world below, taking in the jaw-dropping scenery each step of the way. Elemental combat system, gorgeous visuals on there. That does work better on the PS5, I should say. You've got a great soundtrack in there, and you can build your own team and all of that. If you do want to get financially invested into the game, you can definitely do so. I definitely have heard some stories about people spending quite a bit of dollars on this game, so to speak, but yeah, the game is free to play and you can check it out right now. But that's gonna do it for me. Again, a plethora of free-to-play titles available on the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, and I haven't even scratched the surface. You've got games like Smite, you've got a lot of other free-to-play titles. Of course, I mean, a lot of you guys might not like me mentioning it, but Fortnite, another major free-to-play title. You've got games like Spellbreak, Rogue Company, and so on and so forth. That's gonna do it for me. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.